Well, good morning there, Raider Nation. It has been an absolute tumultuous couple of days out here on the ranch. We have had crazy gusting winds, feels like a hurricane coming through, rain, sleet, snow, freezing cold, and it kind of feels like the Raiders over the past couple of years. So is things really changing with the Raiders? Well, listen, guys, we have Pete Carroll, we have Tom Brady, we have Chip Kelly, we have John Spytek now. We have Super Bowl champion coaching and ownership. We have national champion coaching with Chip Kelly as well as Pete Carroll. And one of their first big moves that they made this year is signing a guy named Alex Kappa. Now, Alex Kappa is an offensive guard who was drafted to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers when John Spytek was there. He ends up winning a Super Bowl with Tom Brady. He is a guy who has over 6,000 snaps in the NFL as a starter. Durability is off the charts with this dude. He plays almost every single down, doesn't come off the field. Kind of reminds you of a Max Crosby if a Max Crosby was an offensive guard. And, for a couple of years, he was ranked in the top 15 of guards in the NFL. So he has a lot of experience, he has a lot of durability, and he has a lot of leadership to bring to this offensive line that struggled last year. So the Raiders go out and they sign him when he becomes a salary cap cut to the Cincinnati Bengals, where he was just currently playing with, after he had the worst year of his career, giving up 8 sacks in the season, something that he had never done before. And so the Bengals cut him to save salary cap because, they just franchised T. Higgins. And so they are really suffering over there with the salary cap. And this made Alex Kappa available. The Raiders jumped on him, gave him a 2-year deal, $11 million, which is starting level money, low-end starting level money, or very high-end backup money. So let's talk about Alex Kappa and what he brings to this team and how this is going to affect the offensive line. Before we get into today's video, let's talk about the XbotGo Chameleon, the revolutionary AI robotic cameraman that is absolutely changing the game. Guys, if you want to record your kids' sporting events or your own, maybe you fancy yourself a little bit of a savant out there on the court, you can absolutely do it with the XbotGo Chameleon. It has follow me mode. It has the ability to track the jersey number. It can track the ball. It is absolutely crazy what this thing can do, and it comes with the ability to record in 4K, 60 FPS. Comes with the ability to live stream the game for hours on end with an insane 8-hour battery life of continuous recording. And yes, it comes with an app, and the app is 100% free. It comes with different types of record mode: soccer, ice hockey, tennis, football, basketball, you name it, they got it. It has the follow me mode, the accurate player tracking. It has capture, edit, share, again, all on their app, which is 100% free. You get 20 gigs of space on their cloud, and they don't even charge you for it. The Xbot Chameleon is absolutely changing the game and how we go about recording. Long gone are the days of you having to hold your smartphone up for hours on end to record your kids' games. You just set it and forget it. Lock onto your kid or lock onto the ball, and you can now sit back and enjoy the game and let the XbotGo Chameleon, super robotic, super smart AI gimbal, do all the work for you. It has 360 degrees of motion, 8 hours of battery. Guys, you cannot pass up on this. Go and get yourself an XbotGo Chameleon today. And oh, by the way, it also connects to your Apple smartwatch, or you can use the smart remote. Link is down in the description. Thanks, XbotGo, for being a sponsor of the Raider D podcast. So Alex Kappa, in my opinion, if you erase last year's terrible year that he had, giving up 8 sacks and a bunch of pressures, and he was ranked damn near last in the PFF rankings for offensive guards last year. So worst year of his career, can he have a bounce back? I think the guy can. There's a lot going on over there in Cincinnati, and I think that everybody has a down year. Heck, Max Crosby just had a down year last year, and the dude just became the highest paid non-quarterback in the NFL history. So yes, you can have a bounce back year. It doesn't necessarily mean that he is a bust. What this means is a guy at his caliber and potential, you got to be making him the starter. And so it's going to be him in Jordan Meredith battling it out for that starting left guard position. And when you're bringing in a guard like Alex Kappa, it also means that the Raiders most likely are going to move on from Andre James. Now listen, Andre James has a connection to Chip Kelly, so that doesn't necessarily mean that that's going to happen. Maybe Chip can get the best out of him. Maybe you keep JPJ at right guard and bring Parham in as, a backup guy, a swing guy. But I honestly think that if you're smart about it, you see the potential that JPJ is going to be a good guard in the NFL. No doubt about it. He'll be probably a top 15 guard. But when you draft a guy high in the second round like JPJ, you're not drafting him to be top 15. You want him to be top 5. And the only way that JPJ is going to be top 5 is if he's at the center position, which is his natural position. And he excels at being a center. One of the reasons why JPJ excels at being a center, simply because the dude has a football acumen that is off the charts. He simply can understand what defenses are doing, and he understands which of his guards needs help the most. In split second, like it's uncanny when you watch him, how he'll be off to the left helping his left guard out if there's nobody in front of him, and he'll sense that that's okay, but there's going to be pressure on the right side. Maybe it's a stunt or something like that, and he'll just immediately turn and run right into a defensive player and knock them on their butt. It is a lot of fun to watch him at center. I think that you have to make the decision to make JPJ the center. And I think that when you're bringing in a guy like Alex Kappa, I think that that shows you that you're going to and intend to move JPJ to his natural position at guard or at center, which means that you got to cut Andre James because he can't play guard and he can't play tackle. He can only play one position. He is a one-trick pony. He sucks at everything else, and he sucks at being a center, unfortunately. I mean, he's a great guy, and he's had some good games, but consistency has always been a problem with him, and if the Raiders want to win, you have to make the right moves, and I think bringing in Alex Kappa to be your left guard, Jordan Meredith, who played well, it's going to be a battle, but Jordan Meredith can play left or right guard. So if Parham is struggling, Meredith can go over to right guard, and you can have Kappa at left guard. If Kappa is struggling, then Meredith just takes over, and you took a chance on Alex Kappa to see if he can bounce back and have that 2021, 2022 style of a year with the Raiders in 2025 with all of his experience, his durability and strength and etc. And you're hoping that now that has now solidified your offensive line. But of course, you're also going to go in the draft and you're probably going to draft an offensive lineman, possibly at right tackle, because DJ Glaze showed a whole lot last year, but John Spytek didn't draft him. And so maybe John Spytek looks at it, maybe Pete Carroll looks at it, maybe the offensive line coach looks at it and says, listen, DJ Glaze has a lot of potential here, but we're not completely sold on him. And so it could be a situation where they go and they draft another right tackle in the second round. And at that point, you now have kind of solidified this offensive line. JPJ needs to be the starter at center. If Alex Kappa beats out Meredith and he's your left guard and he has a 2020, 2021, 2022 style year that he had in the past with the Raiders this year, whoever your quarterback is going to be, they're not going to get a lot of pressures. They're not going to get a lot of sacks because Colton Miller really got back into form in the second half of last season. And so I think at that point, the offensive line, are we top 10? No. We're probably a top 15. And I think at top 15, you're just good enough at that point to make the playoffs. If your quarterback in your run game can get things going, and that's where we're going to talk about the quarterback real quick in Sam Darnold. Listen, with Sam Darnold, it's a long shot that he'll even hit the free agency because reports come out, several reports have come out now, that Sam Darnold and the Vikings are working on a deal right now to get him signed before the free agency opens up here in just a couple of days. And so the word on the street is that the Vikings are trying to get him to sign a deal somewhere between $20 to $30 million on a short-term deal. Now, why would Sam Darnold want to do this? Well, there's a couple of reasons. One, he has made it very clear he wants to stay in Minnesota and finish what he started. He wants to get back to the playoffs, and he wants to do it with Minnesota. And so he's been willing and has signaled to them that he is willing to take a pay cut in order to stay the starter. Now, this would be good for the Vikings, especially in the general managership, because if you let a guy walk into the free agency as the general manager who put up 4,300 yards, 35 touchdowns, led you to a 14-3 season and got you into the playoffs. By the way, 14 games apparently is a record for the Minnesota Vikings. I didn't even know that. And then you start J.J. McCarthy and you win 6 games, you're fired. You're done. You're out of the NFL. Your job's over. But if you bring back Sam Darnold, even if it's on a 2-year deal for $30 million a year, and he struggles by week 5 or 6, and you bench him and put JJ in, you've got your job. It's secure. So I think that right now, it's very likely that Sam Darnold stays with Minnesota. And why he would want to do it is because let's say that he signs a 1-year deal, and he does it again, and he puts up over 4,000 yards again. He goes into the free agency and he's making $55 or $60 million a year. Whereas if he goes into the free agency this year, he might only make $30 million, $35 million. But then he's got to go to a new team, new receivers, new offensive line, new running back. Everything is brand new to him. And he might struggle. So strategically, it would make sense for Sam Darnold to stay in Minnesota, even if it's on a 1-year prove-it deal, which I think he kind of proved it last year. But let's say he does that, and then he hits the free agency because he proved it again. The dude's going to get paid. He'll be super, super rich. He'll probably get somewhere around a $200 million contract if that's the case. But if he flounders and gets benched, his career is done. He'll be a backup quarterback for the rest of his career. And so that's another risk. He could go into free agency right now and easily sign a 3 or 4 year deal and get paid at least $30 million a year, possibly $35 to $40 million a year with another team. But who knows what will happen with that. So at this point, I think quarterback situation, we know Aiden O'Connell has been doing workouts with Tom Brady, studying tape with Tom Brady. I think Tom Brady believes in Aiden O'Connell, and he's preparing him to fight and battle and win this job. So could the Raiders go out for an Aaron Rodgers? Could they go for a Russell Wilson? Yeah, because you can get those guys on cheap deals right now, especially Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers has no offers on the table right now. Nobody is going after him right now. You could sign Aaron Rodgers, and I think for a 1-year deal, probably around $15 to $20 million. And for a caliber of a quarterback that he is, that's cheap. You could also do the same thing with a Russell Wilson. But I think right now, the Raiders are looking at draft in a quarterback, possibly a Jackson Dart. He has showed a lot of interest in becoming a Raider, and I think he has a lot of upside to him, as well as Cam Ward, like I reported on yesterday. There are reports, unconfirmed, not from me, that the Raiders might move up and trade up just to get that number 1 draft pick to draft Cam Ward. I don't like that idea. If Cam Ward fell to you, great, you take him. I think he's going to be a great quarterback in the NFL, but I don't like giving up that draft capital for a guy like him. I would have done it in a heartbeat for Jaden Daniels, as I was screaming from the top of my lungs all offseason last year for the Raiders to do that, and they didn't. But listen, at the end of the day, the Raiders are making moves in the right direction, in my opinion. Alex Kappa, 2 years, $11 million. Listen, if the dude doesn't pan out, you could cut him next year. It's not going to really cost you anything. I don't think he probably even has very much. The details I haven't seen yet, but I doubt he has guaranteed money in that. It's a very prove-it deal. He's happy just to stay in the NFL. So if he doesn't pan out, you cut him next year, not a big deal. You draft offensive line and defensive line in the draft. You draft a running back like an Omarion Hampton, like Travion Henderson, like Ashton Genty, and you really solidify the run game and you help out your quarterback. If that's Aiden O'Connell, listen, you can hate Aiden O'Connell all you want. I'm going to tell you right now, he has flaws in his game. That is for sure. He's not an uber athlete. He's not even really all that athletic to begin with. But one thing he is a great quarterback when he has time. The dude can throw the ball all over the field. He needs to improve on some of his decision making, but his talent, his arm talent, he is probably top 10 or 15 quarterbacks when it comes to arm talent in the NFL, because he can make every single pass you want, whether it's a laser, a floater, a deep ball. He can hit it all over the place. He just needs to work on his mobility and he needs to work on his decision making. If he can get those things together, listen, he's a starter in the NFL. Whether it's for the Raiders or somebody else, I think that he could definitely make some things happen. And apparently Tom Brady believes in him enough to spend his very valuable time working out with him and studying film with him. So we'll see how that all pans out. Guys, if you haven't hit that subscribe button yet, what the heck are you waiting on? Hit that subscribe button and the like button. And we guys will see you in the next Raiders video. Raiders! Let's go, baby.